Good evening everyone and welcome to Rombauer Hour Red Wine Harvest Edition. My name is Rich Allen, I'm the Vice President of Viticulture and Winemaking. As you can see from my beard, we're just finishing up harvest, but I am joined by two of my usual suspects. Gentlemen, why don't you introduce yourselves?
There you go, Luke Clayton, winemaker.
Andrew Holloway, associate winemaker. Yeah, I have a more cleaned up beard rather than a scraggle.
These gentlemen went to the barber for the show. I decided to go natural. We've just finished up our last picking on our Friday, and so now everything is in tank and fermenting away. But before we get into the show, we should do what the most important thing is, and that's open a bottle of wine, open your favorite bottle of Rombauer, pour yourself a glass, and tuck into it. I want to quickly point out what we're wearing this evening. I have my Rombauer Hour shirt on, so does Luke. Andrew's not that lucky.
In my size.
Yeah, Andrew has the regular Rombauer cellar shirt. But tonight, if you order any wine before midnight tonight from our website, you will get a free piece of Rombauer swag. I can't tell you exactly what it is because I don't know what it is, but I'm guessing it might be a Rombauer shirt or an apron or a Rombauer hat or something like that. So if you get on tonight and order some wine,
the mystery swag.
That's what you'll get.
Yeah.
But as we're doing red wine harvest tonight, we're talking about red wine. So the first wine we've poured is actually our Barbera. So as some of you might not know, we do make a Barbera, but Andrew's gonna tell us a little more about this particular wine.
So actually our newest red wine, and we only make a small amount of it, a few hundred cases, but we thought it was really important. We're up in the Amador, Sierra Foothills area, has a huge history. Barbera dates back to the late 1800s, and then there were more recent history of the 1970s. But it's a big varietal. It's world renowned, and really the varietal hails from the northwest Italy region, the Piemonte region. And so this is known as Barolo Barbaresco, but Barbera sits right there with it. It's an incredible varietal. It's known for higher acid, lower tannin, really bright red fruit, and really what makes it great is just how good it is with food. And that's kind of how it was developed. It was made in these Italian towns for pairing with the local cuisine. And so, Italian immigrants came to California, brought it with them, and then the Sierra Foothills are such a great location for it that it made incredible wines. So this is the, 2019 Amador Barbera.
So Luke actually made this wine. During the 19 vintage, he spent a lot of his time up there at our new Sierra Foothills winery.
I did.
So Luke, where did the grapes come from for this? I know some of it was estate, but some of it came from a grower. Why don't you walk us through?
Thanks for answering your question.
Why don't you walk us through where it came from?
Without like little details.
Yes. So a good portion of it came from our estate vineyard, right opposite our winery up there in the foothills, and then the rest of it came from Dick Cooper's vineyard, who has been, I think, 40 odd years the vines have been there.
Yep.
And he's planted them. So the really old vine Barbera that is just phenomenal for that region.
I guess he's known as Mr. Barbera is what I've
That's what I've heard from out there.
But and when I think of Barbera, it's a unique varietal, and so you don't encounter it a lot. But what I like to think of is it's kind of a blend between Pinot and Zin. Pinot is known as having low tannin, like really ripe red fruit. Zin, has that length, that juiciness on the palate, and that, but it's basically a blend of the best components of both with higher acid. And so it makes a really incredible food wine, great for pastas, pizza.
Yeah. Classic margarita, with just tomato sauce, mozzarella, basil on there.
Yeah, basil. Yeah, I don't know what basil is, but
thank you, translator.
It's definitely something I love. It's my favorite wine to have with pizza, just because the acid cuts through the fat of the cheese, and it's wonderful. But red wine harvest, that's what we're focusing on tonight. It is very different to the white wine harvest in terms of the timing of picks. So generally, we start with the aromatic white wines, and then we move in, Sauvignon Blanc, and then we move into Chardonnay, and the Chardonnay starts to go, and this is where we're hitting our peak, we start to roll into picking reds. Usually it starts with a little bit of Zin here in Napa, and then some Cabernet, and then it really gets going up in the foothills with the Zinfandel up there. So it's always a little bit later. So Andrew always is, we're all, with Chardonnay, it's all hands on deck, right? Yeah. So we're all very busy when Chardonnays are on the door.
Well, it coincides with bottling, and then we have Chardonnay coming in August, early September. And so it's a really busy time. And so, everyone, as reds aren't here in St. Helena or say in the Sierra Foothills at our winery, people come down and help us because we get so busy. And it's just, there's a lot happening. Yeah. It's a fun process though.
And with white wine, you know, the white tends to ripen early.
Yeah.
So we want to, with white wine too, we just are pressing off the skin. So we just want that juice with the white wines, so we don't get any phenolics or any of the bitterness that we want from the skins. And so we just get the juice with white wines. While with red wine, we get all our color and tannin from the grapes. So most of the varieties of, except for a few, the skins, the pulp is actually clear. And we actually get our color and tannin from the skins. And so that's why with red wine, you hear about a lot of pump overs and spinning off the barrels, is to help extract that color and tannin that we want for our wine. So we left with super rich wine, color, and balance.
There's been some great slides up that show, obviously, extracting the color and tannin from the skins. And that's the big difference between red and white wine. But some of you might know that we have another winery up in the Sierra Foothills, which is very important to us. Sierra Foothills is where we source all of our Zinfandel from, and a small amount of Barbera. Yeah. But it's really important to us up there. It's just east of Sacramento if you're going on your way up to Lake Tahoe. But it's really, really, here in St. Helena and up there is where all the red wine crush happens.
They're incredible locations for the varieties that are produced at each. So it's, I think it's going to be really unique tonight because we're trying, two wines from the Sierra Foothills region. We have Amador and El Dorado, which are neighboring counties, which basically is our sourcing for those whole programs. Zinfandel, Barbera, we get a little bit Petit Syrah, and then we're coming back to Napa and we're seeing our Bordeaux varietals, the Napa Merlot and then Cabernet. So it's going to be interesting to see how each area plays into the styles of the wines.
Yeah. There's a question just came through about how old does a vine need to be considered an old vine? It's not a legally defined term, but we talk about old vines. We're usually referencing vineyards that are planted pre-Second World War, so pre-1944. We have a number of vineyards up in Amador, which by Napa standards would be old vine. They're planted in the 60s and 70s, but by Amador standards, they're young vineyards. So a good example is Ken Diva. He's one of our growers up there. His young blocks were planted in the 70s, but there's very few vineyards still left in Napa that were planted in the 70s. So for Zinfandel, pre-Second World War, stuff in Napa, I would say late 70s, early 80s is what we consider old vine.
Well, congrats, Richie. By vineyard standards, you're still young.
I'm still young. Thank you.
There's some standard to keep from there.
All right. Well, I guess the big thing about us, when we move into red wine harvest, it's a big transition point in the winery and the days get very long. Right. So my day usually starts around 3 to 4 a.m. With a coffee. I get up, turn on my phone and get the plethora of text messages from our night picking, and the three of us will turn up down at our Napa winery around 4 a.m. Meet as the first loads of Chardonnay that is handpicked at night come in. Work out the plan for the day based on the number of crews we had that night picking and the flow of fruit. As the sun comes up, Andrew will stay at the winery and take care of the white wine, and me and Luke will go sample. But as we move into red wine, Luke peels off and he comes up here to St. Helena, and Michael, who's our winemaker in Sierra Foothills, starts to get really busy as well. So up in the foothills, we night pick, we start about 4 a.m. and those days get very long. So 3 a.m. in Napa, 6 a.m., 7 a.m. up here, 4 or 5 a.m. in the foothills.
And they're long days.
They're long days. I will move between each facility throughout the day, tasting tanks, working with the team of winemakers. But a general day starts about 3 a.m. and I will finish with Luke up here tasting tanks, usually about 8 or 9 o'clock at night. And hopefully I'm home by about 10.
Sounds like a lot of miles.
For a quick dinner.
How many miles do you think you did this harvest?
This harvest, I got my car serviced right before harvest, and I put over 8,000 miles on it since mid-August. So a lot of driving.
The wheel.
Yeah, it is.
It's funny because trucks are fueled by either gas or diesel, right?
Yeah.
And so I think winemakers are fueled by espresso and burritos.
Yes. So I'm only where you're going with that.
There was a segue there. I was going to get it.
So yes, during harvest we consume an inordinate amount of espresso. We have an espresso machine at each winery, which cops a lot of abuse from the winemaking team. And then usually breakfast burritos are good at about 7 a.m. because they get you through the day. And we feed all of our crews, depending on what winery out, you'll either get a hot lunch or a hot dinner every day. So it's a lot of hard work and a lot of fun.
Yeah. Talking about crews, another beautiful segue. Each year we get a lot of interns, so we need harvest help to help make these delicious wines we're going to be trying here tonight. Our crew probably goes from a slim crew of like 14, 18 people to up to like 30 people between all three facilities. And we need these extra help to help with pump overs, especially with red wine, Andrew.
Well, especially like here in Napa and the foothills, throughout the year we might have, 4 people full time, but then there's a peak of, work that, needs to be done. There's hands on deck, there's pumps. And so it goes from 4 to 12 at each location. 10 to 12 basically.
Yeah.
And so you need that seasonal help. And so there's a really interesting way of finding it.
We're very lucky to do a California exchange problem.
Where do these interns come from, Luke? They're kind of all over the world.
Originally Australia, and then we get some Kiwis, New Zealanders, some South Africans, Chileans, Brazilians, Argentinians, and I'm sure I missed someone.
But we have a little video now, because this international crew of people at Come Work Harvest from all over the world are so important to us. We thought we'd put them on the live stream and show you a little video about them. I love that video. It actually, a lot of people think that winemaking is like this incredible glamorous thing and you mosey about the cellar, tasting and wearing a white lab coat and drinking wine, but it's actually a lot of really hard physical work. The days are very long. That was actually a short day. That was only 7 to 5 p.m. On a long day, those guys will work anywhere from 6 till 10 p.m. at night. But what I love about it is it shows what it's like to be an intern at Rombauer, and that's how I started at Rombauer. It's how Luke started and Andrew, and we get people from all over the world come work harvest here. I mean,
Get work with us jokers.
They get to work with us jokers, but I started here as an intern 18 years ago this year and did a couple of vintages and worked around the world and ended up back at Rombauer, and it's been it's been a lot of fun for me, and I really enjoy it. And I know it was the same for you, Luke.
Yeah, I started in 05, and I missed one, so I'm at 16 harvest here.
And where did you work in between? I know you were back in Australia.
So originally I'm from Australia, surprise.
I couldn't tell.
Yeah, I know. I don't
It's not
have
Kiwi.
But if you saw the last Rombauer hour, you would know the reason I stayed. My lovely wife, Kristen, I met my first year here, and we stayed, and the Rombauer family was so gracious to keep me on and work my way up here at Rombauer. It's such an awesome place, and I'm just blessed to have these experiences here at Rombauer and enjoy it with wine. And Hollybag's here also started as
What
an
year
intern.
did you start, Andrew? You started as an intern?
Yeah, KR was out for a wine dinner, and so we were talking, and I was a pre-med major, and I was thinking about taking a year off, and he said, you know what, you should come out and see what this winery is all about.
So you could have been a doctor.
I could have been.
Lucky.
Yeah, I know.
Skipped a bullet there.
Lucky people out there. And so I came out my senior year and came out for a week, actually. Lived at the pool house here. The interns were big fans of me. You know, I had the pool, had beers, everyone could come back. It was a blast. But then I loved it, and I really loved that experience. You know, it was a really unique thing for me. You know, I come from Oklahoma, and seeing interns from Brazil, South Africa, you know, Australia, and getting that, you know, United Nations feel. So I came back in 2010 after I graduated and worked the whole harvest. Loved it. Lived that summer with a Brazilian, Bello.
Bello! Shout out to Bello, who's watched every live stream, one of our former interns.
Big fan. And so I ended up just kept coming back. You know, I tried to go back to Oklahoma. There wasn't as much fun wine making there. So they allowed me to come back, and then I worked down in New Zealand and then Tasmania and Australia.
Is there a good visa program coming from Oklahoma?
There is. I had to sneak over, but I made it. They really wanted me out, but I made it.
I really think we should talk. Oh, I've got a question here. Is would we accept a 72-year-old intern? And yes, we would. If you are physically capable and you can keep up with the rest of the interns, absolutely. There is no discrimination based on age. I will take anyone who's passionate about wine and loves it and wants to work hard. So. But we should probably talk about the next wine rather than talking about being an intern at Rombauer.
I know, it was so much fun. So I got 2018 Napa Valley Merlot. So fun fact, Andrew, Forbes just mentioned Rombauer Napa Valley Merlot as one of the best wines for autumn. And it's also, fun fact, it's Merlot month. So whatever that means, but drink more Merlot because it's delicious.
It's the most loved wine in the portfolio. It's
funny,
just our favorite.
I think I take every month as Merlot month.
It's Merlot if you really. For February, Valentine's Day, Merlot.
Yeah, and then why do we think of Merlot as such a great wine for fall or autumn?
I think honestly, I mean, I'm going to palm this one back to you, Andrew.
Yeah.
It's the food pairings for Merlot.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's those winter and fall braising dishes. I mean, when you get into pastas and pizzas, they work really well. And then when I really think of late fall, like early winter, Thanksgiving, it's the perfect Thanksgiving wine. It basically goes with everything on the table.
Yeah,
and it's really hard to beat.
The current release Merlot vintage is the 18. And 18 was an unusually, like every vintage is always, even in a great vintage, there's one varietal that tends to stand out a little bit more. And I would say in 18, it was the pick of the vintage.
Yeah.
And it was the first year since 2004 that we made a reserve Merlot. So that shows you how good a vintage the 18 Merlot is.
I mean, trying that wine, I couldn't be more excited about it either.
Yeah.
I mean, even the 18 Merlot, the Napa Merlot is showing incredibly well.
So rich, so soft.
Yeah.
And
So
just acidity.
It's Napa Valley Merlot, but it comes from one specific region within the Napa Valley. And where does it come from?
Carneros.
And why?
Yeah. Well, Carneros is really great at,
Put you on the spot here.
Well, lower daytime high, so Merlot doesn't tend to do well in really warm environments because it tends to get really raisiny and, get into those really stewy kind of flavors. But if you can get into an area where it grows exceptionally well, like Carneros, it really reflects basically the right bank of Bordeaux.
Yeah.
We get a diurnal shift, those lower nighttime lows. It gets the influence of the bay, retains acidity, and gets those really fresh, vibrant fruit flavors. So you're seeing, plum, cherry, that lick of vanilla, and really, really plush tannins.
Yeah.
And that's the thing about Merlot is the tannin structure is incredible.
Yeah.
When people say, they want a nice, soft red wine, this is something that has acidity, tannin, it's plush, will age well, and drink really well on release. So I mean, Merlot's almost like if you could build the perfect red wine, it's one of the best red wines you can make.
Well, the next holiday is Halloween, so I can't wait to drink this with Halloween.
Works perfectly with, I don't know, Smarties and Hershey's.
It is interesting because when we have a staff function, I would say one of the first wines empty is usually, or the red wine's empty is usually a Merlot, because it pairs with so much food, and it's so easy to drink. So,
yeah, I mean, it's, you know, it doesn't even need a decant, just an open pop and pour, and it's, you know, drinking like it's been in a decanter.
It's an everyday ends in Y wine.
Yeah.
it's funny, like, you know, at Rombauer we always talk about, you know, we're one big team, so we have people from every department cross-trained to some degree. But this last harvest we had a couple of extra help interns, and a shout out to Christine and Derek, who are two of our regional sales managers who actually worked up in the Sierra Foothills for a couple of weeks with Michael, helping out for harvest, which was amazing because it has been a very busy year with not enough people. So thank you guys.
Yeah, I'm going to repay him. I'm going to go visit Christine next week.
You are, instead of Barbara.
So back to the interns. As you know, well, we've all been interns here.
Yeah.
Australians, American are cool.
There's an American that has to hold on the floor.
Like one of the cool thing about getting interns here from overseas and stuff is our harvest here is just finished now. Northern Hemisphere, Southern Hemisphere is February, March, April, and it really is a great time for us as potential winemakers, future winemakers, to gain so much experience. And so it's really cool for us to get that skilled labor here to help and
where are
learn
these,
what we can do.
I mean, what countries are we coming? We got people coming from. So we've had people from Chile over the years, Argentina, Uruguay, Brazil, Australia, New Zealand, South Africa.
A couple Americans.
Couple of Americans.
Did you say near Spain? Was that Portugal?
Portugal, yes. We had an intern who could never say Portugal so anyone could understand it, so his nickname was near Spain. But we've had people from Portugal, Spain,
Greece,
Italy, Georgia in Eastern Europe, Greece, all over the world. Yeah. And it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, so it's amazing to me because when you think about, you know, our tendency is Southern Hemisphere because it's opposite seasons, right? So they don't have harvest right now. But then you have Europeans who really want to come here and experience, you know, American winemaking because there's not as much, you know, it's different in the traditions of their local areas, and they can get exposed to a lot of techniques, a lot of different winemaking styles, and a lot of varietals that they don't get exposed to.
Yeah. So we have a smaller crew this year of interns from around the world. Very small, so we'd like to introduce you guys to them, and you can see the next video.
I'm Nicolas Riveros. I'm from the south of Chile, actually from Puerto Montt. Everyone here is from Santiago, for the capital. I'm from the south. I'm like the only winemaker from the south of Chile, and well, that's I am. This is my 6th harvest, so.
My name's Cara Zoni. I'm from Cape Cod, Massachusetts, and this is my 1st harvest.
Mi nombre es Javier Valenzuela, soy de Chile y esta es mi 6ª vendimia y 2ª vendimia acá en Rombauer.
My name is Francis Sorin. I'm 26 years old, and this is my 3rd harvest.
My name is Daniel Vega. I come from Chile, and I have 8 harvests.
Hello, my name is Rafael Basigalupo. I'm from Santiago, Chile, and this is my 2nd harvest.
So my name is Ryan McCarthy. I'm from Boston, Massachusetts, and this is my 2nd harvest and 1st in the cellar.
Well, the big difference maybe it is that harvest was my 2nd one, so now I know more. I learn a lot here. We used to be 11, now we're 7, so we have more work, but also we're more involved now. So, you know, every harvest is different. Every harvest has the pros and contras.
In the crush pad, we're filling the barrels with Merlot today. We're getting them with grapes, so then we're going to move them to the fermenting room, and we're going to do the whole fermentation process.
Oh, I think honestly just the people, like there's so many amazing people here, and being able to interact with people from all over the world, and just like the wealth of knowledge that we're learning out here has been so amazing.
Everything is intense about harvest. Just the moment the grapes arrive to the fermentations and the moment everything gets pressed, there's a whole lot going on all the time, and it's a good intensity. It's very nice to be here.
My hair, the other day I wanted to cut it off because spinning the barrels, the hair went straight into my face. I won't say her name, but she destroyed my hair, so I have to shave it up.
Well, I don't know if he told you the backstory, but the scissors that he came at me with were sewing scissors. And needless to say, he now has a buzzed head, so that's kind of what happened there.
Yeah, I think Luke it is funny by himself. Like, yeah, some jokes works.
I think Nico and I are going to have a talking to tomorrow.
So
Biggest fan of his jokes.
A little video of our interns, but we have one of our star interns here. For those of you who've seen this gentleman before, this is Bob Knievel. He's the CEO and president of Rombauer Vineyards. And Bob, we were pretty short-staffed this year, so Bob pitched in and helped and was an intern. Bob, how did it go for Harvest?
Well, it all depends on who you ask.
Well, we're setting you up here.
I can tell, yeah. I think it went really well. First of all, very quickly, just a congratulations to our team for a safe and wonderful harvest. Just a great year. We're very excited about the wines that are going into barrel right now, and can't wait until they are released and we can share them with everybody who's viewing tonight.
So, Bob, during Harvest, obviously you can drive forklift. You helped down in Napa making Chardonnay.
Yeah,
you drove
been a
forklift.
good intern for me.
A good intern for you. I've seen you been driving forklift up here, but I know you drove forklift up in the foothills for a bit and barreled down some wine. How'd that go, Bob?
Yeah.
It went okay.
24 cases less of the Zin.
So
it is a fun story.
Yeah.
It is a fun story.
There was
right?
a little incident with a barrel.
Yeah.
Where a barrel may not be no more. What happened with that barrel, Bob?
So with work like this, of course, you're trying to move quickly, but safely.
Maybe a little too
and
quickly?
a little too quickly at times. So even though I've been driving forklift for 50 years, I was a little bit too fast on a downhill slope with 4 barrels, and I am pretty sure that you greased a couple of them. Pretty sure. Because as I was slowing down to go in, I slowed just a little too quickly, and I saw 2 barrels launch. It looked like a missile launch. It was something else, and it's like, no! And I see these barrels go out, and as they hit the ground, I saw this glorious fountain of red. It was quite something. It was really something.
No one told the winemaking team this, and we actually had to find out about after the fact. And they actually tried to hide it, like all good interns. And so I had to ask the cellar master up there, Joe, not to mention any names, what's that broken barrel in the cellar, Joe? And how did that happen? And he's like, that was Bob. So, thank you, Bob.
Well, they're taking a little bit out of my paycheck every week until that is totally paid for, and that's I would expect nothing less. Yeah.
Well, did you have fun though, working with the interns?
I love working with the cellar staff during this very busy time of year. It really is fun to be out here very early in the morning. The air is crisp. Everybody is excited, a little tired. They're waking up. And as things start to come in, it's electric. It is just really, really fun. It's energizing. You work hard, but you realize you're creating something. It is just something. And to be working, I think you've heard the guys talk tonight about the people from all over the world that we just have. I think it's a privilege, really, to work with such wonderful, wonderful interns from all over the world. And I look forward to doing that for many more years. You guys are incredible.
It's been going on 2 decades. We've had international interns at Rombauer. And I mean, it's the whole winemaking team was at
experiences. And thinking back, the biggest thing I can compare it to is playing a team sport, where you're all in the grind together. You're practicing, you're doing everything, and then it's game day, and you're ready to make the best wine you can. Yeah. And it's really like it's a camaraderie. It's everyone building it together, and no single person can do it alone.
Yeah.
So it's one of the coolest environments to work in.
Well, speaking of being an intern, there's one variety, Luke, that they generally have never seen before when they get here.
Yeah, that is the Zinfandel that Bob got his hands on, unfortunately. Exactly. Before coming here, I had no idea what it was. I knew about the classic Bordeaux, Chardonnay,
Shiraz,
mate. And But like Zinfandel, who knew? Well, Californians knew that it was the heritage grape here. And it was brought over, the gold rush. So much history, especially up in Amador, like Ken Deaver's place. That's.
I mean, he has vineyards going back to the late 1880s.
Yep, still make you look young. It's awesome. We were lucky enough that when Kerner first started going up looking for Zinfandel in that region, he stumbled upon our Twin Rivers vineyard. Isn't that right, Andrew? That we have
it is. I mean, I think that the first wine in 1990 actually came from the El Dorado Twin Rivers estate there, and it, and circling back to that wine, it's really, it's such an incredible site. It's where we started, and now we purchased the vineyard about a decade, about
2011. So
a decade ago, exactly a decade ago, and it's about 150 acres. Mostly Zinfandel. There's a little bit of Petit Straw and a little bit of port varietals, but really it's just an incredible site. Not only does it make up about half of our classic Zinfandel, but this is our El Dorado or Twin Rivers Estate Zinfandel, and this is the best select lots of that year, and then the best select barrels of those lots. So not only is it the best expression of the vineyard, but it's one of the best Zinfandels I think we can make year in, year out.
Yeah.
Because you not only, the classic Zin, you get those really bright, jammy fruit flavors, you get vanilla, and you get, that spice on the end. This only gets a little bit more intensity, darker fruit flavors.
It's almost a little bit of licorice in it now at this stage, yeah.
My favorite one at Thanksgiving.
Well, yeah, that's a great Thanksgiving wine. It's perfect.
And dishes and the big turkey.
Well, it stands up to all those big flavors.
It does. It really is.
I mean, it's the depth. It's that dark, like berry jam to me. It's chocolate, the licorice that you're getting.
Yeah.
But then it's that depth and how long it carries on the palate. It's like an extension.
It still has you talk about those flavors. You talk about the dark berry and the licorice. But Zinfandel historically or typically has a little bit of spice to it, and it still has that spice component to it as well.
Yeah, and an interesting thing that I think really plays into that is that small percentage of Petit Straw in there that really lengthens it, fills it out, it gives it that structure that you're really looking for to make it age worthy. And so I think that's one part of why the Zins not only drink well young but age really well. Definitely, it's incredible.
Yeah, I mean this wine. Originally the classic Rombauer Zin was labeled El Dorado.
Yep.
And that was one of my first wine I ever tried at Rombauer on my first day of employment on August 23rd, 2004 was the 2001 El Dorado Zinfandel up at Kerner's house. And I sat there with a couple of South African interns and drank a bowl of this on Kerner's porch overlooking his koi ponds with him. And I'll never forget that. It was a very special day.
His way to gauge interns. Give them some Zin, see how they respond.
Yeah. This guy's a little shady. Let's check him out. Yeah. You rock up with long hair, big beard.
No, I didn't have a beard then. I had hair.
But you know what? How cool? Going back to the interns, how cool it was for me, I know it was for you and Hollybags here. How great it was to come to work, walk up that hill, slightly hungover most days, and come up here and I didn't drink coffee then, so I don't know, drink water, and then you dig out some tanks, you get dirty, you have some fun.
You put in a hard day's work.
Yeah, and then you go down the hill, and then you drink a few beers and some wine, and you guys have that camaraderie, and you get on. And
we ended up staying there and living in the house for a year together.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, drink a lot of beer.
He eats way much, and I put on so many pounds living with him.
I don't know what his metabolism is.
But seeing the interns before, saying the names and stuff, like Francis, if you see him out, ask him to release his hips, pow pow. And then Nico, we're talking to him tomorrow about my jokes. But their personalities, it's great. We've got to build lifelong friendships, and I really love to go back South Africa, see Jasper, he's in Tasmania now, but all the other Xanders stuff back in South Africa.
Forever.
It's the most fun thing for me with the interns is when I get a photo sent and they're doing a tasting years later of the wine that they helped make at Rombauer.
Yeah.
And they get a bottle of it and they're having a tasting. They're comparing a wine that they were part of, usually several years earlier, and they're tasting with the home wines in their country, and they're like, your wine did really well in that tasting. That for me is really special, and the fact that they come here and take what they learned back to their home countries I'm very proud of that.
No, it's incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, and just the plethora of I mean, it's extensions of where they all are in the whole world.
And just so you know, interns, if you do apply for a job here, it usually doesn't matter who you've worked for. We know someone in your home country to check your references. I'll just put that out there.
Shameless plug.
But please come work for interns. But we should, I mean, we talked about the Oloroso Zinfandel, why that's special.
Well, and one thing is, I actually forgot to mention was, you know, it is a very unique special wine, but because that vineyard produces so many exceptional blocks, we make enough for the winery, but we also make a little bit for distribution. Yep. And so at select retailers, you know, your high-end retailers, and then select, you know, restaurants, you'll see it on their lists, and it's a really incredible Zin, an expression of the area.
I just got a text message from a friend that's saying, I win the beard competition, you guys, your beard sucks.
Yeah, I've shaved 3 times, so yes.
You shaved this morning, didn't you, Andrew?
But we should
check out his back.
We should move on to the next wine, and the next wine...
Andrew's going to pull a sample for us, because it is harvest time.
Okay, so the tank's behind us. The cellar has been cleaned. It was a bit of a mess this morning. The tanks just over here on the side of left side of the screen, they were drained and pressed this morning. And so most of the tanks in here are either full of wine that's fermenting or has just been drained and pressed and is waiting to go to barrel next few days. So we thought we'd show you a sample of Cabernet that has just been freshly pressed.
It's from a Bennett Lane Calistoga Cabernet.
I feel like I'm walking up for a boxing match. You guys don't stand a chance.
Thanks, Matt.
So we should actually do this and show people the difference between a freshly pressed Cabernet and a regular Cabernet.
The finished pro. Richie, mate, I'm going to ask you a question because you always ask me a question. So when you're tasting the freshly pressed, is it like a finished wine or is it rough? And
what are you looking for?
Okay, so if you were to try a finished wine, like the one I have on my glass here, which is the 2018 Napa Cab, the first thing you'll notice, honestly, is if I hold the glasses up, and it's hard to see if I can get them to zoom in, is that there's going to be a color difference. And while the center of the glass is going to look very, very similar, if I pour them that way, I get them to zoom in, you'll see this glass in this hand, the color is very different. And the first thing you'll notice is that the hue of the glass, especially with Cabernet, is going to be very bright. It's going to have more of a purple color.
Yep.
This wine, this has just been pressed. It hasn't gone to barrel yet. It hasn't gone through malolactic fermentation. And so it's going to have a different aroma. It's going to be more primary fruit flavor. It's not going to have any oak influence. The acid's going to be higher. The tannin's going to be stronger. And it's going to be very, very different in the glass.
Why's the acid higher?
The acid is higher because the wine has not gone through malolactic fermentation. So wine naturally has a certain amount of malic acid, and malolactic fermentation converts that malic acid to lactic acid. That softens the wine and lowers the acidity. And in general, most red wines go through malolactic fermentation, and some white wines. So our Chardonnay, one of the signatures of it is that it goes through malolactic fermentation, whereas our Sauvignon Blanc does not go through malolactic fermentation.
But in Chardonnay, you kind of get the similar thing right now. If you go through and taste all the Chardonnay before it's going through all its malolactic fermentation, the acid is extremely high.
It's very pronounced.
Because it hasn't gone through, and the acidity, will drop by, anywhere from 10 to 20% basically. And so you have that really aggressive acidity, but what you see here as well.
Yeah. So this wine from Tank it's got a lot of primary cassis. It tastes like fresh fruit. The tannins are quite unresolved, so it's got like a grainy texture to it.
Really quite harsh at the moment.
Quite harsh, and the acid's quite pronounced.
Well, there's a lot of solids as well.
There's a lot of suspended solids, and the nice thing about wine is it naturally clarifies over time, and the solids will drop out. But once it gets to barrel, and it'll finish its fermentation in barrel, it's still got a few grams of sugar to go, and it goes through its malolactic fermentation, the oak component will integrate into the wine, and the wine will soften, and it will change color slightly. So it'll be less bright, it'll have less of a bright purple hue, and it will develop more of a red hue, like the wine, which is the 2018. So here I have a 2021.
we got to remember the year.
Yeah, it's been a long harvest. We're a little tired.
Well, and this is also another component of it is it's a tank ferment as well.
Yeah.
And so you do get a little bit of a different expression when you barrel ferment. Which we're not seeing.
That's it. But like all our red wine, we go through, all our red wines, go through the same process where we're 100% hand-picked. All the reds go through optical sorting, and then either tank, the Bordeaux's portion of it goes through barrel, and then ends up in a barrel again.
So it's fermented in barrel, gets straight in press, it goes back
Yes.
in the barrels in which it was fermented.
And when it's pressed, we utilize what kind of presses?
Basket press.
Yeah, and why would we use that?
Because they're fantastic.
Do you want me to answer that?
Yeah, we'll let Richie on the
So
end
there's
there.
2 ways to press a wine, and we've got
there we
a
go.
shot up on screen of a basket press. So
Love
you
that
can use a
picture.
pneumatic tank press, which has an airbag in it, and it squeezes the grapes, rolls, squeeze, rolls, so it continuously crumbles. Whereas a basket press is a very traditional way of doing things, and it's a very slow, gentle way to extract all the remaining wine. So the skins contain a lot of wine, we want to get all of that out. And when we basket press, we get a softer, richer, higher quality press wine, which we can back blend in with the final wine straight away. So basket pressing is something we do exclusively across all of the red wines. Honestly, it's the only way I've ever made red wine. I've done a little bit of red wine with a tank press, and it
with a bladder press, like for whites.
and it just never ends up as good. So the basket pressing gives you a much higher quality wine.
And as you're rolling it, when you're pressing, you're crushing those seeds. You're getting really harsh, aggressive tannin out, and it's starting to get a bitter, astringent.
Yeah.
And so this stops that from happening, and it also clarifies as it goes through.
From that pressing, how long till it's in this lovely bottle?
Well,
how long is that?
So
2018?
after we press, we put it in barrel, and it's in barrel for anywhere from about 14 to 18 months. But it'll be in there for 10 months, and then we'll look at blending components together, making rough blends. After those 10-ish months, it spends another 6 to 8 in barrel. We'll make our final blends around the 18-month mark, and then we'll bottle the following spring. And then it'll stay in bottle from anywhere from basically 3 to 6 months is what we tend to really see
before release.
But before it gets released, and that's when it tends to start expressing itself. And then not only will it show really well on release, but as it ages, it'll start developing different characters and showing itself differently aromatically. Fruit flavors will subdue, and more savory components will come out.
So this 2018.
Did we talk about this? Yeah, I was going to say, we get sidetracked.
We got sidetracked. This 2018 Napa Valley Cabernet, which we're tasting now, has been in bottle since
last year.
For about a year and a half.
It was April last year we bottled it.
Previous year. April of 20.
April of 20.
Yeah, so about a year and a half from today.
And we released it a couple of months ago, and now it's starting to get out into the market, and it's through its period of bottle shock, or where it seems very closed. And when you taste it, what do you see on the palate?
Well, let's go back to it.
Let's go back to it.
A lot of spice and a little bit of oak right now, vanilla.
Yeah, spice, vanilla, a bit of a almost cinnamon quality to it.
But the fruit flavor is what dominates the profile of the
that's
wine.
that black cassis. You get blackberry, a little bit of dark cherry, a pop of vanilla, and then that plushness on the palate. And that's where this is I'm not sure on the exact percentage, but about half probably barrel fermented.
The 2018 was 50% barrel fermented.
Yeah, so about 50% barrel fermented, and so you're getting that plushness on the palate, but you're also getting those open aromatics, and so you're getting that pop of fruit, spice, a little bit of floral, and then you're really seeing that length on the palate. And it's for me, I mean, it's what Cabernet really should taste like. It has the structure to age really well. It's not as say plush as Merlot, but it has this will stand up to the biggest of foods.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a steak guy, so
shows.
I mean, I mean, a New York strip with a Cabernet, I can't go wrong.
Yeah.
Maybe some baked potatoes on top of some mashed potatoes.
The 18 Napa Cab is one of my favorite wines. I mean, we've always wanted to do a live stream in the caves. The caves are over here. The winery is built on a hillside, and it goes into the hillside. But there's no internet in the caves, and the acoustics are terrible because there's a large amount of echo. So
Great for singing.
Great for singing, not good for a live stream. So we've never done a live stream in there.
We had the Phantom of the Opera guy one year singing there, like 15 years ago. He came on his tour.
Yep, the Phantom of the Opera singing there.
Beautiful.
But I mean, harvest is coming to a close, right? We've almost finished picking. Everything's in except for
our Chardonnay that we're waiting to get botrytis and then make into Joy. So it's our late harvest Chardonnay, and it's really one of the most special wines. I mean, since I've been here, we've only made it twice, and I had started in 2010. And so it's a special wine that we need the right conditions. As today, we are now entering into rain, which is lovely. It marks the end of
finally,
like basically fire season for us. So it's great and an incredible vintage. But really what we're waiting for is the botrytis to take on Chardonnay, and in about a month we'll pick this
last grapes of the year.
The last grapes from Buckley. It'll hopefully be around 40 bricks. So most Chardonnay is around 23, 24 bricks, and this is hopefully about almost double, not quite double,
40.
but 40, and we'll make an incredible dessert wine. And so I'm really amped. Right before Thanksgiving, I hope to pick it.
18 was awesome, so we're hoping.
Yeah, 18 was honestly one of the best dessert wines, not only that we've made, that I've ever tasted.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible Chardonnay.
It's a big compliment coming from
It
you,
is,
Andrew.
it
You're
is.
quite picky.
Well, I was around, so
So Paddy in the vineyard's got some work to do.
Well, now that harvest is drawing to a close, I know what I'm looking forward to, and that's spending some time at home.
Yeah.
Good call.
Seeing my family, maybe taking a little break over Thanksgiving. What are you guys going to do now that harvest is over? What do you look forward to the most?
Harvest party, and then, my family, of course. Hello, girls. Love you very much.
And Andrew?
I have to do a makeup anniversary trip with my wife to New York. And then, of course, Thanksgiving. We're going to have a huge turkey, and it's going to be great. Going up to Tahoe, we're going to have some Barbera, Merlot, turkey.
And what will you miss most about harvest?
I think having a big impact on wine quality, because it's the one time when you're really making the wines that you can really impact how well the final wine is going to be. It's the most critical part of not only when it's picked.
I think Patrick would disagree with you, our viticulturalist. He would say growing the grapes is more important.
From a winemaking perspective, when you get the grapes in, the best quality you have is when you have them come in, and so you want to preserve that. And so being able to influence that and make the best wine you can, you only have this short window to really influence what is in the bottle for years. Yeah. And so, I think I miss that kind of impact on final wine.
Well,
what do you miss, Luke?
Great company line there,
Yeah.
Andrew.
It's a one time.
Fair enough. Yeah. You get the bonus points, but you know what? I'm going to miss the camaraderie with my new buddies, my interns, my bestie, and all the other guys, the Chileans and the Boston kids.
Americans.
The Americans.
We have to have some.
Speaking of interns, I've got to give a shout out to Kara's parents, Peter and Patricia. Kara has done a fantastic job, and her partner Ryan. So I know they're watching, and I just got a text saying that we should give them a shout out.
Oh yeah, he's here, man.
Well,
Have you seen
they're
it?
just
It's
down the hill having a little beer and watching this.
I'm sure they're having a beer. We actually had a keg of beer here today for the end of harvest, and so I'm sure all the interns are just down the bottom of the hill enjoying a nice keg of beer and
slow day tomorrow,
having fun. It'll be a very slow morning. That's
Don't
for
worry,
sure.
Alberto's down there leading the charge, our cellar master, so they're going to be fine.
Well, okay. Well, that kind of gets to the end of the show. Thank you so much for joining us. As we said, any wine you purchase tonight before midnight, you will get an item of Rombauer swag.
Shameless plug.
Shameless plug.
Yeah.
So
You don't know what it'll be.
the 18 Cabernet and Merlots are tasting particularly fantastic.
Yeah. What's next month?
Next month, we'll be coming to you live from Dallas, Texas, from Reagan Rombauer's house. Backed by popular demand, we will have Charlotte and Reagan to do our holiday entertaining edition, and we'll be giving you tips and tricks for the holiday period, and doing some of my favorite wine pairings with some. Charlotte will definitely have some cheeses, which will be fantastic, and I'm very much looking forward to that. So thank you so much for joining us, and we will see you next month.
Cheers.